On behalf of David Martin, I want to welcome you, Jason's family, and those friends and co-workers who have come to share this time. It is not an easy thing to do, but this is a necessary, though solemn moment. We are compelled to pay formal tribute to Jason. This is because of the kind of person he was. We want to be comforted in our shared friendship with him. We want to acknowledge his special attributes. We want to treasure his uniqueness. Most of all, this is a celebration of Jason Nabeta. I would now like to introduce Mother Gerald Hansen.
Yeah. My name is Father Gerald Hansen. I'm a Catholic priest, but I come to find out that Jason was Jewish. So you're probably asking, what's a Catholic priest doing in a memorial? Boy. Well, you see, I probably, of all of you, knew Jason the least. That is in time sense. I met him Friday night for the first time in my life. He came out to New Jersey to audition for a show that I'm directing, Carousel. My choreographer and I, busy, Miss Heidi Still came with me this morning. We were just so impressed with the man, his professionalism, his spirit, his drive, his joy. We were stunned, shocked, just as all of you were. The only thing I could think of this, as I pondered this encounter, was that now I truly do have a heavenly friend. Reading from the book of wisdom. The souls of the just are in the hand of God, and no torment shall touch them. They seem, in view of the foolish, to be dead, and their passing away was thought an affliction, and their going forth from us utter destruction. But they are at peace. For before men, indeed, they be punished, their hope is full of immortality. Chastised a little, they shall be greatly blessed. Because God tried them and found them worthy of himself. As gold in the furnace, he proved them. As a sacrificial offering, he took them to himself. In the time of their visitation, they shall shine, and they shall dart about as sparks through the stubble. They shall judge nations and rule over peoples, and the Lord shall be their king forever. Those who trust in him shall understand truth, and the faithful shall abide with him in love, because grace and mercy are with his holy ones, and his care is with his elect. Shalom. This time I'd like to ask Jonathan Brooks, accompanied by William Ray.
I glad to be here to speak to Jason's family and his friends. Looking at Jason's picture and thinking about all the 8x10s that everybody's always so, concerned about getting after they graduate, making sure everything is perfect. And we think about sometimes in the industry that the 8x10s don't always reflect the truth of a young person or an actor's real, true essence and their soul. So we have to sometimes guess whether we're going to see in the industry what we see when we look at a picture when the person walks in the door. And I'm sure that most of you who love and know Jason so well know that this is a picture that is so true and reflects the essence of Jason's soul and his heart and his smile and his love of so many things. I had the great good fortune of being Jason's teacher, of having Jason continue his studies after he graduated with me privately every week for the past 6 months, every Monday evening, in a very difficult class. As most of you who are students here know, I'm not an easy teacher. And I must say that the joys of, it's not always easy for us either as teachers, trying to get students to understand why we're pushing so hard and working so hard to reach the truth. It wasn't hard to make Jason understand that. Jason reached out in every single opportunity that I had to teach him as a young person. He wanted more. He wanted to know more. He wanted more feedback. He was beyond curious about himself and life and his career. He was so excited about reaching out and doing more, and was so brave and courageous in his ability to look at himself honestly and examine his art and his work and take that and use it and do something so beautiful with his life. Jason was also a friend of mine. I felt very close to Jason because whenever I saw Jason, his smile brightened up my day. No matter what I said to Jason, he laughed all the time. I wasn't quite sure what he thought was so funny. But he just loved to hear what people had to say about anything and appreciated it so much. Unique to my experience as a teacher, I don't think there's anyone, although all my students are very special to me, I don't think there's anyone such as Jason who could appreciate every gift that he got in every class that I had the joy to teach him in. It's very ironic that in the past 2 weeks, I had stopped my Monday night classes to take a little break because I was working so hard, and Jason called me a couple weeks ago and said, "Oh my God, I have so many auditions. I'm so excited. I need some coaching. Please, can we work together privately until you start your class again?" And I said, "Absolutely." And just a week ago, Jason came to me with a monologue from Romeo and Juliet because he was going out for an audition for Shakespeare. And he was very nervous about it. And it was the speech from Benvolio where he talks about Romeo's death and how sad he is at Romeo's death and his dying. And Jason said, "I just love this monologue. I know everybody thinks Romeo and Juliet is so sort of done all the time, but I love this monologue." And I said, I understand why you love this monologue, because it's about caring about people and passion and love. And I said, "Is there anybody," we were working the monologue, and I said, "Is there anybody that you feel this deeply about right now in your life that you can relate to in this monologue?" And he said, "No, I have good friends that I love, but I don't have one person that's special to me yet, but I can't wait to feel this and feel this love for something in my life." He did say to me that he has experienced that love with 2 parents who showed him the most unconditional support in the world that he's ever received, and that he could call them or tell them anything that he had to, that was on his mind or on his heart, and so he knew what real love was like. And we knew that Jason knew that, and we knew that he had to have two very special parents to be the kind of young man that he was. I saw Jason the day before Jason passed away, and that was Saturday of this past week. And he ran to my apartment one more time to get some last-minute coaching. And I said, good luck, you're going to be great, Jason. Don't worry about anything. Everything's going to be wonderful. And he said, I can't wait to work more. I'm so excited about everything that's coming up. So we are all quite affected and saddened by why we are here today. I did want to read to you just a piece from Romeo and Juliet that I know that Jason felt very strongly about, and I'd like to do this in Jason's honor and to hope and wish that Jason's soul rests in peace. Come, gentle night, come, loving black-browed night, give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun.
Yes, we're all here basically for the same thing, to say goodbye to Jason. It's never really truly easy. I just wanted to share a few thoughts that I had of Jason and a few experiences that I have had with him. Sorry, I seem to have lost my glasses, so I might have to move blurry. And I'm going to just hold on to my safety blanket here for you know, it is always hard to say goodbye to a friend, especially when you're not really sure exactly what happened. When I was first told about what happened, I was told that it was an accident, and then as time went on, I was told that it was some horrible accident, or that it was a car accident, or that maybe he had committed suicide, and all this other stuff. And then, you know, I was like, none of this is proper for Jason. None of this is proper. I can't accept that. Then I found out that it was just simply an accident. And really only kind of accident that only Jason really could be involved in. And really that was what gave me a lot of a sense of resolution, to be able to at least accept that he has passed. And to know that even to the end, Jason was just trying to experience life the way he knew how, doing what he wanted to do no matter what others may have thought. I've also heard someone say about this, that this is so pointless. And I was really affected by that. To say that someone's death is pointless, especially someone who led such a full life, I think is a great disservice to them. Jason's life is so far from pointless. As many of us know, Jason had already been in 2 off-Broadway shows, and he was about to start a 3rd show, which was going to be his first paying job as an actor. He had graduated from a university, as well as from AMDA. He was teaching music theory here, and before that he was tutoring a lot of his future students. And he was constantly surrounded by his friends, and quite literally in the building that he lived in. He had reworked the AMDA library from the ground up and had created a system that others could follow, and was still involved in so much more. And with this going on in his life, he still had time for his friends, and his acquaintances, and his family. And Jason was never afraid to go after what he wanted. He may have acted like he was sometimes, being a sort of a pessimistic optimist by saying, saying that he never had a chance with with what he wanted to go for. But, he would say it with that smile of his, just that beaming smile, and just kind of that knowing look in his eyes. No matter how much he would say that, he never had a chance, and no matter what people around him would say, he always succeeded. He always succeeded. And he knew what they were saying because he would always ask them, like when he was wearing his sailor hat, which I'm sure all of you remember. So many people told him, to take it off, that it looked silly on him. But, Jason would listen and say, "Oh, really?" And then he did what he wanted to do anyway. He wore that hat. He wore that hat throughout the whole city. I remember that when he started getting that hat, he wanted to make a complete uniform, a complete costume to go with it. And he asked me to do that. And we went out shopping for the fabric, but unfortunately, it was right before the Christmas break, and time wasn't allowed for us to make the costume himself, but sure enough, a few weeks later, Jason had that costume. And I think that was really good for Jason, because he got to live out, his own little private on the town. Jason was always very candid in the way that he spoke with people. He was never afraid to just be himself in a social situation. He would speak his mind. Saying exactly what he thought without editing out the bad or the good. But that is what made Jason so well loved, so well respected. People respected him even if they were a little put off by him at first, because they at least knew that he was being sincere with them, that he was giving them what you got was Jason. In fact, I remember when I first met Jason, it was in his first semester, and I was sitting out in the lobby there when we still had the gray boxes. He was sitting on one of those, and he was talking with Kathy Rito. And Kathy introduced him, and he said that he knew me, and I knew him already actually from just seeing each other around the campus. And as Kathy and I were talking, Jason was just sitting there making these noises, and he's kind of like grabbing Kathy's arm as people were walking by, just making subtle comments. Or at first I thought, wow, this guy's really weird. But after a while, I got to know him, and I got to realize that Jason was just being Jason, and eventually those inner monologues became outer monologues between us, and I got to know a whole new wonderful person that I'll never forget. And eventually we even started hanging outside of AMDA, which for me at the time was not really supposed to be allowed because I was staff and he was still a student at the time, but Jason's company was well worth the risk of losing this job. I remember we didn't talk about anything that was on our minds. And there was this one time that we were over at Utopia having what almost became a nightly ritual of about 4 to 5 cups of coffee. And this one time we were talking in there, Brian Assinger came in. And at first we were like, oh my God, what do we do? That's so hot. And Brian just passed our table, said hello, went to a seat. Jason was like, well, I want to go talk to him actually. And of course, Jason, being the fearless person that he was, got up, went, talked with Brian, talked about his duties in the library, and talked about his work in class. And then he just came right back to our table, and we just continued on right where we were. No fear, and just always willing to go out whether he wanted, do what he wanted. And so to say that someone like Jason, to say that his death was pointless, I can't agree with that. Because he led such a full life, doing anything that he wanted to do. Jason is an inspiration. He showed us that no matter what, as long as you believe in yourself, even if you may make others think that you don't, you can do anything. And as musical theater as that may sound, he made it real.
The name Jason Nabeta is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for hard work, for talent, conscientiousness, loyalty, dependability, trustworthiness, and more words than I can think of that would take probably another 10 editions of Roget's Thesaurus. I certainly didn't know Jason in the respect that Johnny did, and it was so delightful that I was in a different situation. But I guess I knew Jason on several different levels. I was an accompanist for Jason's first semester class, and I was so touched when I looked out here and noticed that there's so many here in the audience today from that class. One of my fond remembrances from that whole semester was just how tight that group was. Everybody was supportive of everyone else. They had a lot of fun. Some remembers of Jamie Zimmer one day giving all these crazy descriptions of everybody, including me. But I do remember how much fun that was, and Jason was certainly part of it. It was an older class, and we always kind of, I don't know, this is not meant to, certainly not to put down any other classes by any means, but there's something about an older class when the average age is 25, 26, whatever the case may be. For some reason, we feel looser. I don't know why, but we do. And there was so much fun. Jason was certainly in the center of all that. I also knew Jason, of course, as a student of mine in advanced sight singing, advanced musicianship, rather. And one of the first things he showed me was some pieces that he had written, so he was a composer, and this also impressed me. And the fact that he was just right there at the top with everyone else. I also knew him in more recent times, about 2 semesters ago. We had a need. Jason had just graduated, and we had a need at the last minute, literally, while we're doing the schedule for the following semester. So we need another musicianship teacher, and everybody else is involved. Jason's at the Xerox machine. Sue is literally just a few feet away. Sue, what can we do? I went to the schedule. I can't fit any other ones in. Because they had put me in charge of trying to put all this together. I said, what am I going to do? I said, Jason over there. Jason just went, Jason? I have a proposition for you. I said, do you think he might be available? I said, and without hesitation. Of course. Of course, as everybody has certainly attested to, this is part of Jason's nature. Never hesitated. Always eager to help out. Now, I will say, and I was talking to Elaine yesterday about all this, and she asked me to relate all this to you, because this was what was going on. There was a little flack there. In fact, Elaine was one of them, and she was the first to admit it. She says, are you sure? Is Jason ready? Because, well, he's so young, he's so shy, so quiet. Elaine knows him that well. And yes, he did have that soft-spoken manner. But I also knew Jason had quite a background. I also knew that he could do it. And I said, Elaine, please, don't worry. He will be fine. In fact, he probably had a little flack from some others that said, well, you know, I don't know, he just graduated, he's so new to everybody. The students are still here that knew him as a student, and he's now, even though he is graduate, well, I don't know. I said, no, he'll be fine. And of course, as time has proven, he was definitely fine. Had a great rapport with his new students. Brought some great ideas. He and I worked quite consciously. Of course, part of it, he knew kind of what I had in mind, and so we had a nice rapport in that regard. And he brought other ideas on his own, nothing to do with me, where he would actually follow up with a tutoring that he had done to try to help new students and so forth, and then had night classes to help them and so forth and so on. Again, this was just another nature where Jason was one that was known as one who could help others who needed to work. And so he really supported my belief in him, as others here have believed in him, that yes, he could do the job. Looking forward to another semester, doing all these things. Everything you could ask Jason to do, he could depend on. I knew him as the librarian like everyone else did too. If I needed something, it was there in really probably a half hour. It was just amazing the amount of work that he could do. And even though, like I said, I did not know him in the other areas, I did know his smile. I did know his hard work. I did know his talent. I did know the fact that he is someone that you could always rely on. Here at AMDA, sometimes we kind of wonder about, the teachers sometimes wonder about the students we have. Oh, they're going to make it. Oh, I don't know, they seem lazy. They're just not going to do anything. You never had that worry with Jason. Jason was one you could always depend on. He's a great example for the rest of us. And those who are always kind of wondering, well, what am I going to do with my career? I don't think Jason ever worried about that. Maybe one could never tell where that career would go. Would be acting, would be singing, would be performing on the piano, whatever. It didn't really matter. The fact is, he was centered. He was focused, as we'd like all of us to be. And I don't mean just students. I mean even teachers, even human beings, even adults, those of us who have supposedly been around for a long time and know what it's like. But Jason was as focused as any person I've ever known. A great example to not just his fellow students, a great example to us as teachers, us as people in the real world. The name Jason Nabeta is a metaphor for a wonderful human being.
Welcome. I was fine until the second. Well, it was not fine. So thank you. Oh, I had very little time to prepare to think about what I'm going to say, but I could go on for hours. But I will be somewhat brief. Jason was our classmate. He was our neighbor. He was our scene partner. He was our fellow alum, our co-worker. He was our teacher, whether or not we were in his class. He was our librarian. And Jason was my roommate. And much, much more than that, he was my friend. And he had many friends in many places. And Jason Nabeta was a genius. and I'm sure he would deny it. He was one of the most agreeable people I've met in my life. And his life, speaking of life, made a difference to all who knew him. And in regards to what Johnny was saying, as will his death will make a difference in everybody's life. Jason was not a sad person by any stretch of the imagination. He had everything going for him. He had been in several brand new shows in a row. He had just recently been a movie extra in a couple of different movies. He'd been giving out countless mailings. I was amazed at how efficient he was with his mailings. And wished I could take lessons. Did it all on his computer, and he would make labels. He'd print the labels out for everybody. He probably did 500, 600, 700 mailings while I was his roommate. I probably did 10. He was on his way up, and he was going to succeed in any number of areas. He was a little lonely, but aren't we all? With Jason as my roommate and my friend, I was never lonely. We laughed together, watched TV, we joked, we sang karaoke, we talked for hours until neither of us could stay awake. 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we'd sleep till 2, 3 in the afternoon. He was the perfect roommate. I will never have a better roommate. I can only hope I will maybe find someone as easy to get along with. He made me promise not to bring things that I had found into the apartment. That was rule number 1. Then he started to. I had just come back from being on tour for 3 months, and he had a couple of gifts for me that he had found. He had found a set of constructible crates that you buy at Kmart or whatever, and you put them together and you can put clothes and everything, which I badly needed. And he had found it in the hallway. And he had the exact same one that he had bought in his room, which always fell apart. So we both understood why someone had thrown it away. But I put it together, and I put my stuff in it, and a couple nights later I heard this loud crash. He also just recently found an ab roller, which he brought in. I just read my notebook. He left us in the prime of his life, and I miss him, and we all miss him. And I have an agenda. I have some poetry. I have a poem that I wrote Monday morning. I was up for 36 hours straight, and then I was fortunate enough to get 11 hours of sleep, and at our friend's place downstairs. And then I was up for I don't know how many hours. I got 2 hours of sleep. And I'm fine now, sort of. But this is the poem that I wrote. This is one of them that I wrote on the subway on the way to a friend's house. The long trains kept coming. I spent, I think, an hour or more just sitting in Columbus Circle right after I left the police station on the way to a friend's house to spend the night. This is dated June 12, 2000, 4:36 a.m. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Every second could be your last. You never know if you'll ever see that person again. Here today, gone tomorrow. Happiness turns into sorrow. Sorrow leads us into pain. And with luck, soon we're glad again. Every minute could be your last. Seconds tick, the days fly past. The months go by, the years are fast. Eternal time is, oh, so vast. So live each day with love and life. Let go of all the petty strife. And when at last your time has come, you might at least not be so glum. And I have written here as the time I finished that poem as 5:02 a.m. Took me half an hour to write and 30 seconds to read. I now have a prepared statement from John Mac Osley, Jason's longtime friend and music teacher for his entire time at AMDA. I've been speaking extensively with John Mac on the phone, and John Mac is devastated, as are we all. But John Mac had a very special connection with Jason. Jason may very well be John Mac's very closest friend. And Jason was John Mac's connection to the world. John Mac has been in the hospital for the last 10 days. He, I believe, had some minor surgery. He is health-wise okay. He will recover. And that is why he cannot be here today. He will be in the hospital for a little while longer, maybe Monday, and then perhaps he will go into a nursing home of some sort. But Jason studied with him at AMDA and continued to do so after graduation until the present. They became very close, and yes, John Mac considered Jason to be his closest friend, and he even went as far to consider Jason as his little brother. After every lesson on Sundays, Jason and John Mac would go out for Chinese food at the West End Cottage. And John Mac Osley has suffered a lot of losses in a very short amount of time. He just recently lost his father, and very shortly after that, his mother passed away. And the day that John Mac's father died, Jason came over and sat with him for hours, just so that he would not be alone. And this meant the world to John Mack. He was profoundly thankful for his company and his friendship, particularly during that time. He will be missed by all, especially his wonderful smile, his great laugh, his sense of humor, and his bluntness. And now I'd like to, John Mack asked me to close his statement with a quote from the movie E.T., which I will paraphrase. Jason will always be with us as long as we have memories. God bless you, Jason. He will miss him as long as he lives, and so will we. And now, I would like to ask you all to rise as we say the traditional Jewish prayer for mourning, the Kaddish. And many of you know the Kaddish. Please join in. If not, I will say it for all of us. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah v'yalamah divrah kivruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechan uv'yamechan uv'chayedachal beit Yisrael v'agala uv'izman korif v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam omei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbarar v'yitbaramam v'yitnaseh V'yit hadar, v'yit haleh, v'yit halal, shemei kudishah, b'richu. La'ela min ka v'irchata v'shirata, tushbechalta v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yalama v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'imramav. Huya asei shalom. Aleinu v'yal kal Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us all say, Amen. Thank you all for coming.
At this time, Stephanie Miller.
asked to give some remarks from David Martin. He couldn't be with us today, and he wishes he would. Jason was first a student here at AMDA, like many of his classmates in the audience, and then he became a colleague with the faculty and those of us who work at AMDA. He was truly a member of the AMDA family. As such, he was highly valued for his skill and proficiency and widely admired for his special and passionate knowledge. But he was dearly cherished for who he was. It has been said more than once that the greatest of all human ventures is the virtue of compassion. It is so rare a trait and is so needed by all of us. If this is true, then Jason's family and his friends and colleagues know that they were blessed with great and good fortune, for Jason was a caring, giving, generous, and indeed a compassionate man. His daily life is an example for all of us, but can we hold on to something more concrete than a memory of him? Can we, in some ongoing and living way, keep him with us? Perhaps. Here and now, united in admiration and in loss, together, perhaps we can create a living tribute. And let that tribute be our daily actions, expressed towards others, caring, giving, generous, and yes, compassionate, as he was. It is said that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Surely there can be no higher tribute. Surely there can be no greater praise.
Before we depart and have a closing prayer, I'd just like to mention to everyone, there is a scrapbook in that looks like St. 5, 305, the Catholic saints. And there is also food in Studio 5. So thank you. Oftentimes, so often, I will be out with people just in street clothes, having fun, and they'll come to find out I'm a priest. And they'll ask me, what were you first, a priest or a producer director? Well, I think God had a way of just putting it all together once we let go. And I think the reason I feel Jason's presence wanting me to be here today to share with you some thoughts and feelings is because so much time in our lives we run across that philosophical question. I'm sure Jason asked himself and we all ask ourselves. That question is, where is God? Let us stand and see. We give you praise and we thank you, O Lord, for you have shown your face to us. You have shown your spirit, your love, your compassion, your mercy. You have shown us what it is to be part of God. Your servant, our loved one, Jason. God bless you. Sure. Please be seated.
Jason didn't get any of his creativity or theatrical background from me. You'll have to forgive me for any shortfalls I may have in speaking to you here. But my wife and I, and down here. You know, we knew that he was that he had a family down here, and that he was happy here. Didn't want to leave. Didn't want to come back to Canada or with us. It was a nice place for him to visit, but he wanted to be here with you. And we didn't realize you know, that he had affected so many of you. And I'm just happy to know that he was happy. We noticed in the last in his time down here, he became more outgoing, and we could see that he was happy. And you know, that's because of all of you. He loved this school, and it wonders for him. And we knew that he is happy pursuing all the work that the opportunities that the city had given him, and for everything that you've done for him today, and for Ben and Linda and everybody here. We really appreciate what you've done for him, and we thank you very much for showing this to us. Thank you.
Before everybody starts to leave, I would like you all to know that this is Jason playing my keyboard, which he was a little afraid of my keyboard, but I showed him how to use it, and he was fascinated. And the two of us would sit for hours programming music into the keyboard, and this is a few that he put in, and it's all him playing on multiple tracks.
for you.
Well,